We are hot off of NXT Takeover Wargames! And I try to make light of that show and what is to come after NXT's final biggest event of the year. At AEW, winter did indeed come, and so did many wrestling fans when Sting arrived at the show. We're going to talk about that and the events of Jon Moxley vs Kenny Omega, which main event of the show. I give my predictions for New Japan Pro Wrestling's World Tag League and Best of the Super Juniors 27, which will be coming up this Saturday, as well as Super J Cup this Sunday. And we continue on with the coveted TylerSuplex Year-End Awards on this, the 24th edition of the Chill Spill Podcast. The S is silent, by the way. Yo, what is going on, guys? It is your boy Tyler Mask, aka TylerSuplex, aka Tyler Coon Williams, aka the one who thought he lived. And welcome back to another exciting edition of the Chill Spill Podcast. And that is pill spelled with an S, but it's silent, much like Adam Cole was after Pat McAfee kicked out of the Panama Sunrise at NXT Takeover Wargames. Guys, we are back. This is the 8th consecutive week that we have gone straight with the Chill Pill Podcast on Patreon, Podbean, and YouTube. Big kudos to your boy Tyler for keeping it real with you guys. I ain't gonna lie. There have been like 1 or 2 weeks where I'm like, I don't know if I really have the information or the news to really do an episode, but As the week's been going on, like, I found it a lot easier, and it's almost becoming a routine now to get this episode done. Like, okay, Sunday's around, let me start compiling the news. Monday's around, let me start getting, like, the show mapped out, whatnot. Tuesday, finalize, go record, boom, it's done. And I think you guys like it. I like to think that a lot of you guys like the Chill Pill Podcast, otherwise I wouldn't be doing it. But yeah, guys, Chill Pill Podcast is back for its 24th episode. Let's give a big shout out to our Patreon backers, Mason Goldberg, NJPW Fan 10, and Liam Version 1. Big shout out to those guys. And without further ado, let's get straight in to the Chill Pill Podcast. I know you guys are all wondering what are my thoughts on everything happening with AEW, so let's talk about AEW first. Winter did indeed come to Dynamite last week. There were quite some matches to happen, quite some segments, but none were bigger than the two we're going to talk about here. Now, it does kind of make the rest of the show seem kind of insignificant, which I'm not going to lie and say that the rest of the show was outstandingly amazing or whatnot. But I would like to think that the two segments we're going to talk about here really just completely overshadowed everything else. Like, everything else is kind of a blur. Like, I remember Britt Baker and Layla Hurst was fine. Chris Jericho and Frankie Kazarian, that really didn't even need to happen. It was really a segment to set up what came this week, what's coming this week at least. I'll talk about that in a little bit. The big segments were the match between Cody and Darby Allin. I'm trying to get used to calling him Cody Rhodes now. Like, I've been calling him Cody for so long. Adding the Rhodes just doesn't even seem right. Now, of course, Cody did start off his career in WWE as Cody Rhodes, so it's not like I've never called him Cody Rhodes before. But, you know, you've been calling him Cody for so long, so that, I don't know. It's an adjustment for me. I feel like for a lot of people, they kind of just already just started calling him Cody Rhodes, which I think a lot of people were calling him Cody Rhodes to begin with. But, I don't know. I'm adjusting to it still. So we had Cody Rhodes and Darby Allin versus Powerhouse Hobbs and Ricky Starks, which I'm going to have to adjust to calling him Powerhouse Hobbs, too. I'm just so used to calling him Will Hobby Hobbs, but Powerhouse Hobbs works, I guess. So, they had a match. That's really all I can say. They had a match. I don't even know who won. The big segment came when the match is over. So you have Team Taz come out. It was Taz and Brian Cage, the rest of Team Taz, I should say. They come down, they beat down Cody, Darby, and Arn Anderson. Dustin Rhodes comes out to try and save them, but he gets beat down too. Next thing you know, Team Taz are setting up Cody to get hit with the belt by Powerhouse Hobbs, and then the lights cut out. And I'm like, oh boy, lights cut out. You know, when AEW first started, I think the company was just so new they couldn't afford like good lights guys, because the lights cut out like every single week when AEW first started. I remember Cody will come out. The lights went out, but that's been every week, so that doesn't count. The Young Bucks were about to come out, but no, the lights go out. Like, literally every week the lights are going out, and they still do it from now and then, but I think they lessened up on it this year. So the lights go out, and I'm like, oh boy, who's coming out now? And then we see this VTR for, like, the winter, and we hear this theme song playing. Now, mind you, winter is coming has been the slogan they've been promoting the hell out of for the last month. And when you think about winter is coming, you really think about not the show so much, but the main event, which they were building up, which was Jon Moxley versus Kenny Omega. They never really hinted at somebody appearing at the show, so we were just led to believe it was all about Kenny Omega and Jon Moxley. But no, VTR comes up, theme song starts playing. We're seeing all these shots of like snowy mountains and like snowy forest, and there's this crow in the background of some of the clips, but I'm not paying too much attention to it. I'm just trying to figure out, well, who is this? Is this Kenta? Is this some new wrestler I don't know about? Is it someone in the comment section said Shaq, and I started dying, but it wasn't Shaq. No. The words came up on the Titantron, and it was Sting. Sting. Words came up on the Titantron. The crowd went crazy. I started freaking out. Then the man himself, the vigilante, Sting, the man they call Sting, comes out from the ramp, and oh my god, that had to be one of the best. I can't even say returns because he never was on Dynamite before. That had to be one of the best debuts of the year. I think I saw a lot of people on Twitter talking about which was the better moment in wrestling. Was it Sting or was it Edge? And I gotta give it. I gotta give it to Edge. I'm sorry. Like, Edge was gone for 9 years, bro. Like, Sting was gone from TNT for longer. I think 16 years or something like that. He was gone since 2001. But Sting wrestled in WWE like 5 years ago. Like, it wasn't like this humongous astronomical return. Like, it was a great debut. No one saw it coming. But with Edge, I guess you can say some people saw it coming because the rumors were out, but like no one expected Edge to actually come out and wrestle. Like, Edge came out and like I almost started crying. Like, bro, Edge is like one of my heroes growing up, man. I hated that man when I first started watching wrestling, and I came to love him when his career ended. And then to see him just kind of come out like that during the Rumble, and me and my cousin were freaking out, we were marking out, and he started hitting the spears. Sting was awesome. But Edge this year can't be touched. That's gonna go down as one of my favorite moments in wrestling history. Not just this year, but in like my entire inception of being a wrestling fan. I think I'm gonna remember that for the rest of my life, because that was I wasn't even there, but I will always remember that moment when Edge came out. I still go back to it sometimes, but not to harken on Sting, because Sting was second best in my opinion as far as debuts returns goes. So he comes out to the ring, crowd's going crazy. He has a bumping ass theme song, by the way. It's kind of similar to his theme song that was in WCW, which I liked as well, but it had like this rock kind of aesthetic to it, which also was really cool. So he comes down to the ring, and he starts staring down Arn Anderson, and then he stares down Dustin Rhodes, and then he stares down Cody, and then he walks over to Darby Allin, and they just start looking each other down, and I'm like, oh man, this is what everybody's been talking about. I haven't really been like, on the bandwagon of, oh, we need to get Sting versus Darby Allin if Sting comes to AEW. I was never on that bandwagon, but seeing those two face off, I ain't gonna lie, I was marking out. I'm like, yo, let's go. Two masked men, two dangerous men. This is gonna be crazy. Then I remember how old Sting was, and I'm like, oh, well, I mean, this is still a cool face off. I still like this. And he stares them all down, and then he leaves. No words spoken, much like Sting used to do in WCW. No words spoken. Comes out, makes his presence known, and he leaves. And that's all he needed to do. It was great. It was awesome. I loved it. Question now is, where do we go from here? Sting is now officially in AEW. The press went up by I think an hour or so later that Sting officially signed with AEW. A multi-year deal with AEW, so they have his rights. They can use him in the AEW video game coming up next year, whenever that's coming out. They can sell his merch, which they literally started selling his merch I think 5 minutes after he debuted. The merch was up on AEW shop. And And he did break a record, I believe, on Pro Wrestling Tees for the most merchandise sold in a 24-hour period. So there's definitely some intrigue there with Sting so far. So that's all there. Multi-year contracts. You would like to think he's not going to not wrestle. Like, he's there for multiple years. Like, what is he going to do for multiple years? He can be a manager, yes. But it's Sting. You had the opportunity to use him, so I wholly believe he's going to wrestle. Wholly believe that he's going to wrestle. Question is, who does he wrestle? When does he wrestle them? And what do you have him do? Now it relies on me to put my fantasy booking cap on and tell you guys how I would do it. Since Sting is already here, there's really no way I can fantasy book the debut. He already showed up. I thought it was perfectly fine. I thought it was great the way he debuted. Stare everybody down, which I didn't notice this detail at first, but I saw it on Twitter. Somebody pointed out that Sting kind of went from generation to generation, like staring down Arn Anderson, which I'm sure he and Arn Anderson probably had some, like, matches back in their day. Then he went to Dustin Rhodes, who I think they were in WCW at the same time. Then he went to Cody Rhodes, and commentary brought up that Cody Rhodes' favorite wrestler is Sting, right behind his father. And then he went over to Darby Allin, who was the youngest of the generation. So I like that much. Question is, who does he face? What do you do with him? I do believe that he is going to wrestle, and if it's me, I would do a match. I don't know if you would do it next week. I don't know if you do it the first, like the homecoming show, which is usually like the first Dynamite of the year. When would that be? When's the first Dynamite of 2021? That's going to be the 6th. Yeah, January the 6th. I don't know exactly when you do it, but since they have this Team Taz and Cody and Darby feud still going on for some reason, I would do Team Taz. I would do Brian Cage, Will Hobbs, and Ricky Starks versus Cody Rhodes, Darby Allin, and Sting. I think that is just probably the most apparent match you can do. But hey, you have Sting in the match. He doesn't have to go in there and, have a competitive match. You could tag him in, do the hot tag, take maybe 1 or 2 bumps because he is 61 years old. Take 1 or 2 bumps, tag out, maybe get him back in, hit the Stinger Splash, hit the Scorpion Death Drop, and get the pin and win the match for his team. And boom, there you go. There's Sting's first match on Dynamite. After the match, I would have him lay out both Cody and Darby. Like, and I don't think you have to do Sting turned heel. I don't think it necessarily has to be that way because he's not going to line with. I'm not having him live Team Taz or anything. But, just kind of keep Sting neutral. Like, I don't think Sting has to be a hardcore, white bread baby face. I think he could just be the neutral. But what Sting usually always was a neutral party. Like, yes, he teamed with the good guys a lot, but he was never really on anybody's side. He was a lone walker. He did his own thing. He walked to the beat of his own drum, and I think he used to keep that vibe in AEW. So I have him lay out Cody and Darby, so that way you're like, oh, is Sting a heel? Is Sting a face? Like, what's going on here? Maybe not this week, but then you kind of build up to like a few weeks from now where Sting kind of says that he wants Darby Allin for the TNT Championship, and then you could build up Sting's first singles match, Darby versus Sting. Now, I don't know how they're going to leave that match out, because Darby Allin is like a aerialistic, fast-moving wrestler where Sting is slowed down, so I don't know how that's going to work. I'd not expect it to be a great match at all, but you want to push the future? I would have Darby beat Sting. I don't know what they're gonna do when they get to that point, if they do. I mean, if they don't, I'm not crying about it. Like, you could do the 6-man tag and I will not cry if Sting doesn't face off in a singles match. I know at some point they're obviously gonna do Sting versus Cody. That they're gonna do it at some point. It's gonna happen. They're probably gonna try and do Sting versus Chris Jericho, which is gonna be horrible. They're gonna do like Sting versus they're gonna do Sting running up against the top guys in AEW. I don't want to see Sting as the AEW World Champion. No. I don't want to see Sting as the TNT champion. Like, if you want to do Sting versus Darby, cool, but I would have Darby win. And establish him as, one of the top guys, soon to be an AEW World Champion. That's what I would do, at least. So, that's what I would do with Sting initially, at least. I can't map out where would I see Sting in, year 2 or year 3. I don't know how far out we're going. I mean, as the years go on, Sting's getting older into his mid-60s, so I wouldn't do that much with him in the ring, at least. But out of that, we then get into the main event of the evening, which was Kenny Omega versus Jon Moxley for the AEW Championship. Jon Moxley walks in as the champion. They had a gentleman's agreement the night prior, well, the week prior, that they would keep it clean. Kenny Omega is the one who offered this idea, by the way, that should go into play with this match. And let me just say, I thought the match was good, but like, as far as they were hyping this thing up, like, winter is coming, John Moxley, they were hyping this thing up like it's going to be like the greatest match in AEW Dynamite history, and it was not. I'll say that right here. This was not the best match in Dynamite's history. I would even say it was the top 10 matches I've seen from either John Moxley or Kenny Omega. Like, it was good at best. Well, not really good at best. Really good at best. But it was not a great match. I think the segment before it and the segment after it completely, immensely overshadowed this entire match. Like, that didn't help at all. Like, if you cut out the Sting segment, then I think people may have had a different opinion on this match. But I think when Sting showed up and then the main event happened, it's like, well, people are still buzzing about the whole Sting thing. So I don't think people are really going to, not that they're not going to care about the match, but it's not going to be praised as much because the biggest thing already happened, you know? It was kind of like earlier this year Revolution with the Young Bucks versus Omega and Page. Like, Omega and Page was the third match on the card. So by the time you got to the main event, it's like, yeah, the main event may have been a great match, but the best match on the card happened earlier, so it's not going to be praised as much, you know? We'll skip to the big spot here. So Kenny Omega's on the top rope, going for the Phoenix Splash, but he's pushed off the top rope by John Moxley, and he sends him into, like, these stage heaters, which I guess you're supposed to believe John Moxley got, like, singed or burned or something from it. He falls down. You have the ring, not the ring announcer, the ring crew. They're going to the Kenny Omega. Don Callis is on commentary. He goes to the apron. He's like trying to raise the referee down, like, stop the match. Kenny Omega's hurt. He's down. John Moxley comes over and he punches him in the head. Now, at this point, Omega's back in the ring. I think John Moxley put him back into the ring. Now, while John Moxley's distracted and the referee's distracted as well, Kenny Omega grabs a microphone and bops John Moxley in the head with the microphone, causing him to bleed because AEW loves their blood. He begins a flurry of V-triggers, probably like 4 or 5 V-triggers back-to-back to Moxley, and they were getting hit on him too. And then he follows it up with a one-winged angel and secures the dub. Kenny Omega is your new AEW champion. As people have been wanting to see since the very beginning of the year, Kenny Omega is finally the AEW champion. We'll see exactly where that reign takes him. I think at the end of the day, it's going to come down to him and Page taking the title for Omega. I will probably wait to do that until Double or Nothing. That way we can get at least 5 months out of Kenny Omega as a champion, but we'll see in due time what happens. Because I think at Revolution we're definitely getting a rematch, but like I said, we'll see. What came after, this wasn't the big spot, mind you. The big moment, I guess you could say, was Kenny winning the title, but that was even overshadowed by what came after. So, Omega wins, Don Callis gets up, goes straight over to Kenny, takes the title, hands it to Kenny Omega, and they don't even get a chance to celebrate. He starts running. Like, he and Kenny run to the back. You see, and the camera crew follows them. You see Tony Khan. He's like, congratulations. I love how Tony Khan is just so, like, happy and giddy. He doesn't know what's going on. I think that was a nice detail, too, how innocent Tony Khan is in this whole situation. He's just like, congratulations, and they just brush past him, like, whatever. And they keep on running, and you see the guys backstage are like, oh, what are you doing? Like, get back to the ring, da-da-da-da. And then there's running, and they're running, and you see a car outside they're running to. And then Alex Marvez, who poofs out of nowhere, he's like, guys, Kenny, what's going on out there? What is your reaction, though? Da-da-da-da. And then Don Callis is like, I love this. This is the money line right here. So Don Callis is like, you're going to have to see on Tuesday. And Alex Marvez is like, Tuesday? Dynamite's on Wednesday. And I don't know why I love that line so much. It's like one of those things where it's like, it leads into something bigger. And then Callis responds, and he's like, you're going to see Tuesday night on Impact Wrestling. And I remember being shocked, like, wait a minute, did they just say Impact Wrestling? Like, I know they said on Tuesday, and at first I'm like, wait a minute, they're going to have this segment on Dark? But then it took me a second, I'm like, wait a minute, Tuesday, that's Impact, right? And when he said it, I was so floored. I'm like, wait a minute. And we're not like sending Jungle Boy, we're not sending Luchasaurus, we're not sending just any old body. They're sending the AEW champion, the newly crowned AEW champion, over to Impact Wrestling. Like, if they wanted to help Impact get the ratings up. This is it. Now, I don't think the ratings are probably going to fall down as soon as like that week's over, unless they're announcing some type of partnership where Kenny Omega is going to defend the title on like Impact TV or something. I don't know what the announcement is going to be. I'm still buzzing about it like you guys are. I don't know what's going to happen. I am going to be tuning into Impact Wrestling today to watch. Well, today I'm recording this. It's Tuesday. I will be tuning into Impact Wrestling today to watch and see what the announcement's going to be, what they're going to do. As far as the partnership goes, technically there's no partnership. Technically, on quotes, finger quotes, there's no partnership. But with Kenny Omega, the AEW champion, showing up on Impact with Don Callis, I think they may be shooting like a storyline where like Don Callis goads Kenny Omega to leaving AEW and only defending the championship on Impact. I don't know. Maybe we're going to see like Kenny Omega on Impact for a few weeks. And then like he comes back to Dynamite. Or I don't know. Like I don't know how they're going to do this. I don't know how they're going to shoot this. And that's the intrigue. I don't know what's going to happen. So you know what? Impact Wrestling, you got my attention. I hope that it subside the Kenny Omega thing. I know that's the biggest thing going into this show, but subside that. I hope that Impact Wrestling makes this show like bar none. All at like I swear to God, bro. If we have like 10 fucking segments to get to this point, I'm gonna be mad. Like I want to see their best on this show. I want to see some great action. Y'all gotta leave a great first impression because Impact Wrestling is gonna have a lot of new people watching their show. A lot of new people. They have to make a great impression. They have to put their best foot forward and give us some of the best matches we've seen. At least if they want people to tune back in next week. Because I'll tell you what, Kenny Omega's not going to be there every single week. I'll tell you that right now. Kenny Omega is not going to be an Impact every single week. The weeks he will be, cool. People will tune in. But guess what? When Kenny Omega's gone, how are you going to keep those people who tuned in? Through wrestling and storylines. And if none of those things are great, guess what? They'll tune in for only Kenny Omega and then they'll be gone. Because I'll be honest, I'm those people. I am those people that Impact is trying to gravitate towards. I've watched Impact Wrestling twice this year, and both times I have not been very happy with what I've seen. This is their chance to get guys like me to watch their product. Let's see how they go about it. So outside of Impact Wrestling, Dynamite is going to be the day after on Wednesday, as they usually are. They have basically announced their entire card this week, which, and I mean, it's going to be a good show, but there's a lot of segments to look forward to. One of the first matches we're going to have is FTR versus the Varsity Blondes, Griff Garrison and Brian Pillman Jr. Always nice to see Griff Garrison. I don't know what it is about Griff Garrison. I think it was the match with MJF on Dynamite, like back in March or February, that just kind of made me gravitate towards him. But like Griff Garrison, I feel like the kid can be something. Like I don't know about AEW champion one day or something like that, but I feel like there's something there with him that they could tap into. And I don't know how they're going to tap into it. Maybe the team right here of Brian Pillman and Griff Garrison could be something. I mean, I know they've been teaming on Dark, but going up against FTR, I think they could have a good showing, and they'll obviously lose. I don't think FTR is going to lose to the Varsity Blondes, but they'll lose to FTR, and maybe we'll see them on Dynamite more often, because I could see the tag team division getting these two and probably doing something with them. We also have Dustin Rhodes versus 10. Not the number 10, but Preston Vance of the Dark Order. I'll go with Dustin Rhodes to win. I don't know why this match is announced. I don't know why the match is happening, but it's there. Abaddon will be in action this week. I think it'll be her first time wrestling since she got injured in the match with Tay Conti of I think a month ago that was never aired on Dynamite. So she'll be in action. I think probably even before that she may have not been in actual Dynamite in like the last few months. So good for her. They're definitely building up Abaddon versus Hikaru Shida at some point. I'm looking forward to that. They also on the show, we have the Young Bucks versus TH2. I'm going to go with the Young Bucks to win. I mean, you could try to weave in TH2 to win this match and maybe get them something to do, but I highly doubt it. They do nothing with TH2, so the Young Bucks are going to win. Maybe you have like, what's their name called? The Acclaimed. Max Caster and Anthony Bowen, since they had that little promo last week with the Bucks. Maybe they interfere and they help TH2 win, or maybe they interfere after the match to beat down the Young Bucks, and then we build up to that. I don't know how they're going to include the Acclaimed into this, but I think the Acclaim is definitely going to have something to do here, and we'll get the Young Bucks versus the Acclaim probably in like a few weeks. The Inner Circle Ultimatum. So, actually, last week on Dynamite, after Chris Jericho versus Frankie Kazarian, you had the Inner Circle kind of imploding. You know, MJF and Sammy Guevara get into a shoving match, and Ortiz is getting behind Sammy, and Chris was like, hey, I'm sick of this shit. If you guys don't get it together, next week, it's over. So, they're already teasing the breakup, which I don't like. Like, you just had MJF and Wardlow join the Inner Circle, and now you're already talking about breaking up the band. Like, I feel like this hasn't had any time to simmer. Now, I don't think they're going to break up next week. I think this is definitely just one of those red herrings. But even the red herring, I think, is just a bit too early. Like, we literally just had MJF join Inner Circle, like, 3 weeks ago. Not even probably 3 weeks ago. He just joined. And we're having the segment. So I personally would have waited to do this in January, and then maybe do the turn in February, and then do Jericho versus Moxley and then do Jericho versus MJF. But we'll see what happens here. I don't think they're breaking up once again. From that, we should be getting MJF versus Orange Cassidy in a Dynamite Dozen ring. Orange Cassidy and MJF were the two final men in the ring in the Dynamite Dozen Battle Royal. So they'll be going up against each other here for MJF's Dynamite Dozen ring. I said it last week. It should be either Wardlow or John Silver, and neither of those guys won. So I'm going to go with MJF to retain the ring. Like, the association between MJF and the ring is just 1-1, in my opinion. I just don't see how. And it would be, I guess it would be comedy to have Orange Cassidy with the ring, but like, the gimmick is associated with MJF at this point. I personally would just have MJF keep it. Like, just have him keep it. He uses it to win the matches. He kisses it. Like, it's a part of the character. It's been with him for a whole year. Just keep it on him. Keep it on him. That's what I would do with that. And then we have 2 interviews. The first with Sting. He's going to be interviewed by Tony Schiavone. I think we'll be getting clearance on exactly where his career is going as far as AEW and what the first match will be. And just announced yesterday, Shaquille O'Neal will be interviewed by Tony Schiavone on AEW as well. AEW, they want that 1 million viewers, man. Like, Sting on the show, Sting's a draw. Sting is a draw. But Shaquille O'Neal is going to be on Dynamite as well. Like, Shaquille O'Neal is, I think, one of the biggest, like, ratings drivers for TNT. So, if they plug him for the next, 24 hours, people tune into Dynamite to see what Shaquille's going to say, that could definitely drive them up even more. I don't know what the ratings will be. I think this could potentially be the highest rating they ever do. Just because of Sting and Shaquille O'Neal. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm awaiting it, and I don't think NXT really announced anything, grand or big happening this week to compete, so there's really no competition. It's just a matter of what number will AEW do. I think the big story here is what number will Impact do. Now, from what I've been told, Impact doesn't showcase their numbers because they're probably like astronomically low. But if the ratings are good, they're going to show it. So I'm curious about what will Impact do. Now, I'll be watching this show on Twitch. I do have to work until 9 o'clock, so by the time I'm assuming the segment happens, I'll be off of work. Hopefully it doesn't open up the show and I'll miss it, but I'll be tuning in on Twitch to see what the Twitch viewership is like. And best believe, if that show is doing good numbers, it'll be front page on Twitch, and if it's front page on Twitch, then everybody will see it. I gotta believe that if Impact Wrestling has a big segment like that, they're probably paying somebody at Twitch to be on the front page. I don't see how Impact is not on the front page of Twitch. I don't see it. I don't see how they're not. And hopefully they do, because I would love to see Impact get a big rating. Imagine what will happen if they get the same number or even beat NXT. Now, I don't think they're beating NXT. This is me goofing off. Imagine if they get like a very close number to NXT. Like NXT does like 600,000 and fucking Impact does like 450, something like that. Like, that's close. That's not winning, but it's goddamn close, and it's going to be a great ratings mover for them. Like I said, competition is great. I want to see Impact. I would love to see Impact Wrestling, actually get good and start, becoming a wrestling company that I want to watch. I love wrestling. I don't mind watching more wrestling. Give me a reason to watch more wrestling. That's how I feel about it. And get away from that, Dynamite, we talked about that already. Let's now talk about some New Japan Pro Wrestling. Best of the Super Juniors 27 and the World Tag League Finals is coming up on December the 11th. For you guys here, I have the standings of the World Tag League. You have Hiroshi Tanahashi and Toa Hanare finish off their tournament with 2 points. Yo, my man Tanahashi really did the JOB a lot in this tournament. We have Bullet Club's Bad Luck Fale and Chase Owens with 4 points. You have Bullet Club's Evil and Yujiro Takahashi with 6 points. You have the Great O'Khan. I always want to say Great O'Khan now, but the Great O'Khan and Jeff Cobb with 8 points. Mind you, we have a lot of teams with 10 points. Gotta love when New Japan always does like multiple teams tying here. You have Hiroki Goto and Yoshihashi, Tomarishi and Toriano, Sonata and Shingo, and Taichi and Zack Sabre Jr. with 10 points, but they did not win the tournament. Winning the tournament with the tiebreakers, well, not winning the tournament, but winning the tiebreakers to become finalists, are Finn Juice's David Finlay and Juice Robinson, and the Guerrillas of Destiny, Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa. Now, I always hated this about the single block, the single block round robin tournament, because that guarantees that you're getting a rematch in the tournament, which is fine. It's fine if we didn't have 2 tournaments doing the exact same thing. We're literally going to see 2 rematches in the finals, but so the cookie crumbles, I guess. Also, think about it this way. Finn Juice versus GOD is going to be happening for the 4th time this year. You had the match at Wrestle Kingdom. You had the match at the New Beginning show. I think it was the New Beginning tour in North America, the New Japan of America show. Then you had the match at the World Tag League. Now you're having a 4th match at the World Tag League final. Like, come on now. Come on now. And if I believe I'm correct, the records should go Finjuice, GOD, and then I think Finjuice won in the World Tag League, like, just a few weeks ago. So, if anybody's due for the win, I guess it'll be GOD, because to my surprise, GOD has not won the World Tag League. Like, I thought for a second that they won already, but no. They always face Sonata and Evil in the World Tag League, but Sonata and Evil always end up winning the match. So they haven't won. I think it's probably going to end up being GOD winning the World Tag League. They were out of New Japan for months. I think this is definitely building up to them getting their win at Wrestle Kingdom. It's going to be kind of odd to see a heel versus heel match, because GOD are heels and so are Taichi and Zack Sabre Jr., which also leads me to believe that it also could be Finjuice winning, but Finjuice was in the main event for the Tag Team Championships last year, so, I mean, it's going to be the same thing. But, it's New Japan. They do the same thing all the time, and I guess we're okay with it. I'm going to go with GOD to win the World Tag League. And then for Best of the Super Juniors, the final standings are Yuya Uemura with 0 points. No wins for this boy. Kind of sad. Doki with 4 points. Robbie Eagles and Ryusuke Taguchi with 6 points. Bushi and Master Wada with 8 points. And then tied with 12 points, Sho and Taiji Ishimori. The finalists, also with 12 points, getting their tiebreakers, are Hiromu Takahashi and El Desperado. So Despy and Hiromu will be having their rematch for the BOSJ finals. Despy did win the match earlier in the tournament, so one would think that Hiromu might be due for a win. And I think that Hiromu more likely will win BOSJ, but I think it would be a nice shocker and a nice turn to have El Desperado win the World Tag League, to win BOSJ, because number one, El Desperado is such an underrated and underutilized wrestler. Like, he's always in the junior tag division, but when it comes to singles, you don't really see him all that much, except for really BOSJ, and he never wins. So I think it would be nice change of paces to have El Desperado win, go on to face maybe not Taiji Ishimori. I think if Despy wins, then you probably should do the winner facing the Super J Cup winner at Wrestle Kingdom. I think it should happen either way. But if Despy wins, you should definitely do that. So that way the babyface, whoever wins the Super J Cup, can win at Wrestle Kingdom. I hope you guys don't hear that. They have lawnmowers going on outside. And they would do this when I'm doing the podcast too. But I would definitely have it so that way you do that match if Despy wins. I mean, if Hiromu wins, do it either way. I think Hiromu will win this and then the match at Wrestle Kingdom to face Taiji Ishimori. But if Despy wins, I would have Despy win here and then probably lose to the Super J Cup winner at Wrestle Kingdom. That's what I would do, and that's my predictions for BOSJ in the World Tag League. Let's now talk about the BOSJ and World Tag League Finals. So I just talked about that. Probably should talk about that last. But on the show as well, we have Robbie Eagles, Sho and Toriano versus Taiji Ishimori, Chase Stones, and Bad Luck Fale. You have Toa Hanare, Hiroshi Tanahashi, and Kazuchika Okada versus Jeff Cobb, the Great O'Khan, and Will Ospreay. You have Shingo Takagi and Sonata versus Yujiro Takahashi and Evil. They will not leave this feud alone. I don't know, why do they keep coming back to it? Sonata and Evil started their little rivalry at the New Japan Cup. Fine, cool. Evil did a turn. Alright, he got his win back at fucking, why am I losing I'm an old man, guys. Please forgive me. They got a rematch at the G1 Climax. Boom, got the win. They then had the rematch, kinda, sorta, at the World Tag League. Why are they doing it again? Why do y'all keep running this match back? The matches aren't even that good. But alright, I guess you gotta get Shingo in there to do something. So, I would like to believe doing this here, they're not doing it at Wrestle Kingdom, but what do you do with it's not any Wrestle Kingdom exactly? I'll talk about that in a little bit. And then, that lawnmower is loud. I seriously hope you guys don't hear that. And then, of course, you have Master Wato and Kodabushi versus Bushi and Tetsy and Naito. So that's the lineup for the BOSJ Finals and World Tag League Finals happening on December 11th. But let's also get into the Super J Cup, which is going to be happening the day after on the 12th. On this show, we're going to have Clark Connors versus Chris Bay, ACH versus TJP, Ray Horus versus Blake Christian, and Leo Rush versus El Fantasma. Now, I did a preview to this already, so this may be a reiteration. I don't know if my opinions has changed at all, but going into Clark Connors versus Chris Bay, Clark Connors is still technically a young lion. It would be nice to see him actually win, but I think Chris Bay is probably going to end up winning this match, and I'm not complaining if he does, because Chris Bay is awesome, and I think he definitely could be a possible tournament winner, so Chris Bay wins this match. ACH versus TJP, I'm going to go with ACH. ACH has that rapport with New Japan. He's been in their company before. He's been in both the BOSJ and the Super Juniors Tag League, so I think that's definitely coming to play here. Ray Horus versus Blake Christian. This should be a really spotty goodness match. Can't wait for it. Blake Christian will win, mainly because he's been in the New Japan of America tour, really, I think, since the beginning for the last few months, so I don't see why Blake Christian wouldn't win. And then the main event is Leo Rush versus the previous Super J Cup winner, El Fantasmo. I originally had El Fantasmo pegged to win, but I'm going to change my answer to Leo Rush. And mainly this is because they've been promoting the hell out of Leo Rush. If you go to New Japan's Twitter page, New Japan World, there's like 2 different promo packages for Leo Rush. They are hyping this man up, and I think is for good reason. That's because he's going to beat El Fantasmo. They can't hype this man up and then have him lose. That'd be kind of crazy. But then we also have it's not just the quarterfinals. The entire tournament is happening on this show. So this should probably end up being a 2 or maybe even a 3-hour show. So get ready for that. Get ready for a lengthy show. Semifinals. You have Chris Bay versus ACH. I'm going to go with ACH to win. Like I said, the rapport with New Japan should be there. And then we have Blake Christian versus Leo Rush. I'm going to go with Leo Rush. They're going to have the rematch from the GCW Slime Season show. Definitely check that match out. It was free on YouTube, GCW YouTube page. They had the show called Slime Season. Check it out. It was a good match. I enjoyed it. And then that's the semifinals, ACH and Leo Rush moving on. Then we get to the finals. Before the finals is a tag match. The team of Kenta and Hikuleo versus Carl Fredericks and the returning young lion, Ren Narita. Can't wait for this. I wholly believe that Ren Narita is taking an L because it's Ren Narita. But I miss my boy. I miss my child. I missed him so much. I can't wait to see him back in action. But I think Kenta gets the pin over Ren Narita here. And then the main event, the finals of the Super J Cup, ACH versus Leo Rush. I am going to go with Leo Rush to win the Super J Cup, and then we will get the announcement that the winner of the Super J Cup will challenge the winner of BOSJ on night 1 to face the champion Taiji Ishimori on night 2, which will give us Leo Rush versus either El Desperado or Hiromu Takahashi. First of all, Hiromu versus Leo Rush is going to be amazing. Hiromu versus El Desperado is also going to be amazing, so I'm going with either one. I think if Despy wins the BOSJ, it will be Leo Rush, and if Hiromu wins BOSJ, it will probably end up being Hiromu. So that's my predictions for how the Junior Heavyweight Championship picture will shape up at Wrestle Kingdom 15. Let's also talk about Wrestle Kingdom 15 and the lack thereof, the laziness of the booking and the build-up for this show. This has got to be, and I haven't been watching New Japan for that long. I'll sit here and I'll tell you guys straight up. I got into New Japan in 2015, but I didn't truly get into New Japan until 2018. This has got to be the worst build-up I've ever seen for Wrestle Kingdom. We are literally less than 30 days away from Wrestle Kingdom Night 1 on January the 4th. And so far, we only have 3 matches official for this show. The first being Will Ospreay versus Kazuchika Okada on Night 1. The second being Tetsuya Naito versus Kodabushi on Night 1 as well. And the third being either the winner of Naito and Ibushi versus Jay White on Night 2. And guess what? All these matches were set in place at Power Struggle last month. These matches were set in place 30 days ago. Like, really? Really? This is how you build up your biggest show of the year. I understand. Oh, but Tyler, COVID, they were gone and out for 3 months. I'm not trying to hear that shit. They came back in July. I know they needed time to recuperate and reinvigorate and figure out their plans going forward. But you can't sit here and tell me that by December they're still trying to figure out their plans for Wrestle Kingdom. They had to have this figured out by at least August. Figured out what they're doing going forward. Why are we now, this weekend, going to be figuring out what the rest of the card is? And I probably am sure we're not going to have the entire card laid out by the time we get to the Road to Tour. The Road to Tokyo Dome Tour, which is coming up like middle of the month. What is this? What is this? Like, I am so glad I went to Wrestle Kingdom this year. I mean, this year and not next year. Because if I bought a ticket to Japan and I saw this build up, I would probably be really, really mad. Like, I saw somebody in the comment section of my video saying, oh, am I the only person who booked a ticket to Wrestle Kingdom this year? And I'm like, buddy, you probably are. Because if I saw this show, I wouldn't buy a ticket to it. A 3-match show? Not even a show. 2 shows. They're doing 2 nights of Wrestle Kingdom. And you can't say, but Tyler, they don't have the roster. They got their roster back. Kenta was gone. He's back. J-Rob was gone. He's back. Juice, Finley were gone. They're both back. G.O.D. was gone. They're back. Fale, Chase Owens, they're back too. Everybody they were missing is basically back. And people who are not missing, they're on New Japan of America television. So, no, they're not missing a big, immense amount of people. And I don't want to hear the argument of, John Moxley. No, I don't want to hear the John Moxley argument either. That's what I want to get into as well. Why the fuck is John Moxley still the IWGP United States Champion? We got confirmation this week from Tony Khan himself that John Moxley will not be at Wrestle Kingdom 15. He will not be wrestling on that show. So I ask you, if John Moxley is not wrestling at this show to defend his championship, why is Kenta still the briefcase holder? Why is Kenta the briefcase holder? Why is he acting like he's facing John Moxley at Wrestle Kingdom when Tony Khan just told us no? And I know Tony Khan isn't, Harold Mays. He isn't the showrunner for New Japan. He's not Ghetto. But he very much has a lot of say of what John Moxley's schedule looks like. And if he doesn't want John Moxley traveling, then guess what? John Moxley ain't fucking traveling. So I don't believe this is I don't believe this is a work. Why would Tony Khan go out on a whim and say, oh, John Moxley won't be there if he's going to be there? Like, I think that would kind of allude to New Japan and AEW working together if it was a work. But I don't think this is a work. I think John Moxley more than likely is not showing up. So the question now lies, what do you do with the IWGP United States Championship? And the answer is simple. Strip John Moxley. He has been the champion since February. No, he's been a champion since January. John Moxley has been the champion for going on an entire calendar year, and he's defended his title one time. Twice if you count against Juice on night 2 of Wrestle Kingdom, and Minoru Suzuki at New Beginning. And then that's it. He went back to America, COVID happened, and he never came back. You guys remember the first reign? When he was supposed to face Juice Robinson? But then, what happened? Like a tsunami or something happened? Not a tsunami, I guess that would have probably wiped out everything. Some like really bad storm happened in Japan and he couldn't travel. What did New Japan do? They stripped Jon Moxley of the championship. And then, they gave the championship back to him at Wrestle Kingdom. Like literally, 2 months later, they gave the championship right back to him. So why didn't they just do it now? You already did it. I guess the argument is, oh, they don't want to do it again. But he's not there. He's not, at least with the first reign, he was actually wrestling in Japan. I mean, not every week, but he was there for the G1 Climax. He was there for like another tour. Like, he was actually wrestling as the champion last year. There is no argument this year because he wasn't there for literally basically since February. That's 10 months he wasn't in New Japan. You can't make this argument that there's some warranted reason for why he kept the championship. There is no reason. There is no reason. I guess you can hold out hope, but for how long do you hold out hope? Every month, you do not have a singles champion on your show in the same company where your IC and heavyweight championship are won. So 2 singles titles you had last year are now not being used. Your only singles title that isn't the heavyweight championship is the Never Openweight Championship. And you're not even making that the Openweight Championship because after all your main guys came back, you said fuck the juniors and they went back to wrestling for the Junior Heavyweight Championship. So that really isn't even that big of a title right now. So what you have the opportunity to get this title over, to make people care about it, but instead you keep it on a guy who's never there. It's not helping. It's hurting your product. It's hurting the championship. Every month the champion is not there, people forget who the champion is. They forget what the championship is. And I tell you what, when they do strip Jon Moxley, because they're gonna have to. If Jon Moxley is not gonna show up at Wrestle Kingdom and he's not gonna show up in New Beginning, you're gonna have to strip him. You're gonna go on an entire calendar year that he has been the champion and not defended it one time? That's dumb. So when they strip him, they're going to have to figure out how to make people care about that title again. Because people aren't going to care as much because the championship was defunct for basically an entire year. And it's nobody's fault but New Japan. I can't blame Jon Moxley. Jon Moxley couldn't travel to Japan. And when he could travel to Japan, Tony Khan said no. So it's not Jon Moxley's fault. It's New Japan's fault. They could have stripped him the same way they did him in 2019. But they decided not to. So when the time comes and people don't give a fuck about the championship, blame New Japan. Blame New Japan. And when they do strip him, it should go straight to the briefcase holder Kenta. Straight to him. Or do the Money in the Bank situation where Kenta opens up the briefcase and it's the IWGP US Championship in there. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know how they're going to figure it out. But if Jon Moxley is not wrestling at Wrestle Kingdom, take the title off of him. I would say take the title off of him as soon as this show coming up. Take it off of him, put it on Kenta, and have Kenta defend the championship at Wrestle Kingdom. Figure it out. Fucking figure it out. So outside of that, you're going to have the 2 matches announced with the winner of the World Tag League facing the Tag Team Champions, and then the winner of BOSJ facing, probably the Junior Heavyweight Champion. That's 2 additional matches on a show with only 5 matches. And not a show. 2 shows. 2 shows. 5 matches. That's 2 matches on one show, 3 on the other. How do you expect to fill up this card without more matches, without more feuds? Because name some feuds for me that are happening in New Japan right now that haven't been already done. Evil vs. Sonata, that's been done already. Shingo versus Minoru Suzuki, that's been done already. Hiromu's going into the championship picture, so we don't have to worry about him feuding with such and such. Okada versus Ospreay, that's being done right now. Like, all the main feuds in New Japan right now are already either being done or have been done. So unless this is going to be Rematch Mania, I don't know what they're doing for Wrestle Kingdom right now. And it's not the intrigue type of, I don't know what they're doing. It's the questionable, I don't know what the fuck they're doing. Think about it. I'm going to look this up right now. Wrestle Kingdom 14. I'm going to tell you guys how many matches were on Wrestle Kingdom 14. I was at the show, by the way. I was at Japan for the show. I was at this show. Night 1 had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 matches on night 1. Night 2 had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There were 8 matches for each show. Right now, there's 5 that you got to split up against 2 shows. So you mean to tell me they're going to fill up both cards, 16 matches a piece? Please tell me they're going to figure that out. And a pre-show they have to worry about as well. What's if they do a pre-show? Because I won't blame them if they don't do one. How are they going to fill up these shows? With what matches? With what feuds exactly? You don't have the U.S. Championship, so forget about it unless you strip Jon Moxley. You don't have the IC Championship. That's unified with the Heavyweight Championship, so forget about it. Right now, you only have the Never Openweight Championship, the Tag Team Championships, the Junior Heavyweight Championships, the Junior Heavyweight Championships, and the Never Openweight 6-Man Tag Team Championships. That's 5 titles you have to worry about right now. Cool. But after those 5 titles, what else are you doing? Am I wrong? Am I wrong? So I go back to this once again. This is, bar none, the worst Wrestle Kingdom build I've ever seen. And let me go into this because I didn't talk about this on the previous podcast, but this also really makes me kind of frustrated. The IWGP Heavyweight IC Championship picture of Wrestle Kingdom right now. On night 1, Tetsy and Naito versus Kodabushi. A match that in any other event I would be excited for. Ibushi and Naito always have great matches despite one of these men always know they're gonna die, so I'm kind of scared at the same time. They always have great matches. You know, they have that feud going from a few months ago, really a year ago, I would say. Touching back on that. It's for the IWGP Heavyweight and Intercontinental Championship. What more could I ask for? I'm a Kodabushi fan. What more could you ask for? Except the fact that Kodabushi won the G1 Climax this year. Mind you, he won last year. He won again this year. It's not as great, impactful, inspiring as last year's win, because he already went to Wrestle Kingdom and lost. So now, he won again. Cool. He's going back, having his redemption arc. But then he loses the briefcase to Jay White at Power Struggle. So now, he has no direction. And that lasted for all of one day. All of one day. Because at the press conference the next day, Tetsy Naito's like, if I don't have Kodabushi, then I'm not showing up. And the New Japan's like, okay, we'll give you your match. So then, they give us Tetsy Naito versus Kodabushi. And I'm just frustrated because I'm like, why is Kodabushi in this match when he lost the briefcase? You just made the G1 Climax completely irrelevant. Yes, I know, he won the G1 Climax, but he lost the challenge rights to Jay White. He shouldn't be in the picture, and I'm a Kodabushi fan, and I am saying this, Kodabushi should not be in the picture, because he lost. But, he's in the match, against Naito, because Naito demanded it, and then he's facing Jay White, who's going to be on night 5. And I love Jay White to death, but I don't have any confidence that Jay White versus Naito or Jay White versus Ibushi is going to live up to really any Wrestle Kingdom main event I've ever seen. I don't expect that to be like this great match. I don't think it's going to be. Jay White doesn't strike me as the type of guy to go, that mile and make that Wrestle Kingdom main event the match of the year like we've seen every year with Wrestle Kingdom main events. She might shock the hell out of me, and he has before, but I don't see it. I don't see it. Once again, the worst build up to Wrestle Kingdom I've ever seen, and it's very sad. But we'll talk about that more on the Death of Pro Wrestling podcast, which will be coming up this coming Sunday. Make sure you guys tune in. Myself, Joseph Montecillo, and Forrest Silva will be talking about New Japan, AEW, all that good stuff. So tune in for that when we get to it this coming Sunday. But all that out of the way, let's talk about some NXT now. So WWE, they signed some more talent to the Performance Center. A part of this lineup, we have Enriel Howard, I believe. Enriel Howard is her name, I believe. A former WNBA player. No wrestling experience whatsoever, so she's going to be a new project for them. You have, I'm going to try to pronounce his name best I can. Give me 1 second. Hold on. Sojiro Higuchi, also known as Jiro Kuroshio, from his All Japan Pro Wrestling days. He's a former wrestler for AJPW, Dragon Gate 01, and Wrestle 1. I'm unfamiliar with his work, I'll be honest. I don't know what to look forward to with that guy. But promising. Russ Taylor, who you may know that name because he was in the ROH Pure Tournament against Tracy Williams. He lost in the first round. And also, he's been a part of New Japan of America. He's been on a few shows, the NJPW Strong shows, the Fighting Spirit Unleashed shows. He's been a part of a few shows. I haven't seen him wrestle any of those shows, but I imagine he was good if they signed him. Alex Zane of New Japan of America and GCW fame. He's been signed to NXT. I've been praising this guy since I first saw him, I believe a year ago at the GCW Backyard Wrestling Show. Like, he's an immensely talented guy. Can't wait to see what he can do. And then the last two-thirds of the former Rascals of Impact Wrestling, Desmond Xavier and Zachary Wentz. No Trey. Trey did not get signed. He did not sign with NXT, which raises a lot of questions. But Xavier, Desmond, Dez and Zach, what are their names? Dez and Wentz. They're going to NXT, likely in a tag team division. Can't wait to see what they can do. They're going to tear it up. NXT Takeover Wargames. Wargames was this past Sunday. I checked out. I didn't check out the whole show, I'll be honest. I only saw like the first match and the last 2 matches. Not that I cherry picked, but when I got off of work and I got home, the Leon Ruff, Damian Priest, and Johnny Gargano match was on, so I just watched the rest of it. And then the day after, I watched the Wargames match, and I was like, I don't really care for the other 2 matches. I only watched these 3, which has got to say a lot, because I am somebody who has watched every single takeover. Every single one. I've missed like 2, but I went back and I watched them. And this is probably the first takeover where I was not in a hurry to watch all the matches. Like, I literally just cherry picked. So, NXT, where have you been, man? Where have you going? So here we had the NXT Women's Wargames match. Team of Rhea Ripley, Shotzi Blackheart, Ember Moon, and Io Shirai versus Dakota Kai, Candice LeRae, Raquel Gonzalez, I wrote down Reina, I'm so used to calling her Rhea Gonzalez, and Toni Storm. This is a really damn good Wargames match. A lot of action in here. Wasn't quite as great as the first Wargames match, which had the Dakota Kai heel turn and all the crazy stuff with Kaylee Ray, and it wasn't as great as the first one we saw last year, but I thought it was a really good one. I thought it was the best match on the show. I would put it over the men's Wargames match, but not by much. Just by a little bit, I'll put it over the men's Wargames match. I think the top spot in here was Io Shirai, who came in this match last, kept on getting knocked out of the ring, kept out of the ring, I should say. And then she got the bright idea to take a trash can, climb to the top of the cage, and with the trash can, puts it over top of her head, and splashes onto everybody. Crazy Io Shirai. Crazy Io Shirai. Thought the spot was cool, though. She did end up eating the fall during the match, getting powerbombed through a ladder by Raquel Gonzalez and getting pinned, so Team Candice winning the match. But Raquel Gonzalez is the big one coming out of this match, because not only does she look very strong in this match, but she pinned the champion. Raquel Gonzalez is the bodyguard, I would say the second half of Dakota Kai, and they've really been giving her a lot of wins lately. She had that feud with Rhea Ripley, and now she's getting a pin over the champion. They're setting her up for something big. And it looks like we're getting a championship match in the future between Raquel and Io. I don't think Raquel is beating Io. I'd be shocked if Raquel beat Io. I mean, I probably shouldn't be too shocked, but I'll be shocked if she beats Io Shirai. I think she's probably just the next challenger for Io, but, Raquel, they're building her up, man. She's going to be like that. I think she could be probably what Shayna was before she left. Now, I don't think she'll be exactly what Shayna was, because Shayna was just a beast and a monster in her own right. I mean, she went undefeated for so long, until she got beat by Rhea Ripley. Especially because Rhea Ripley looks like she's on her way out. I don't know if she's going to Raw or SmackDown, but she looks like she's on her way out. And Reina Gonzalez is probably going to be that next big figure that's going to be in NXT. So having her against Io is probably the best thing for her. So we'll see what goes from there. After that, I also watched Leon Ruff versus Damian Priest versus Johnny Gargano for the NXT North American Championship. I thought this was a good match. I think Leon Ruff is good. I don't think he's great. I don't really think he's championship material, but I think he's really good. I liked how NXT kind of run this like Santino Marella like angle with him, where he beats Johnny Gargano unexpectedly on an episode of NXT. Because when I saw this at first, I wasn't watching NXT when it happened, but I was told like, oh, Leon Ruff just beat Johnny Gargano. I'm like, Leon Ruff? I don't even know who that is. Then I watched it the next day and I'm like, Leon Ruff? This skinny guy just beat. It reminded me of when Santino Marella beat Umaga for the Intercontinental Championship on Raw like 12 years ago. Like, it brought me back to that moment. So I'm like, okay, he's like the Santino of NXT. That's cool. And much like Santino, he did end up getting beat for the championship. Johnny Gargano did gain back the NXT North American Championship. I thought the match was good. It did come to a halt when we saw the Ghostface guys, which we've been seeing them since the NXT Halloween Havoc episode, which we saw all Halloween Havoc, which makes sense, Halloween, Ghostface Killer, Scream, all that kind of stuff. But then we see it here, and I'm like, Halloween's over. Why are we seeing the Ghostface guys? So I'm like, obviously it's some guy underneath the mask helping Johnny out, whatever. So it ends up being the reveal of Austin Theory helping out Johnny Gargano to win this match. So Austin Theory, Johnny, they're paired up with each other. Cool. My question is, who are the other 6 guys that helped out in this match? Because Austin Theory was the main Ghostface guy, but there were like 6 other guys who came out in this match and tried to help Johnny win. And they all got beat down by Damian Priest. So who are the other 6 guys? Probably insignificant. We won't find out who they are or why they were there, but it's all about Austin Theory and Johnny Gargano now and their pairing. So good for them. Then we got to the men's War Games match. You had the Undisputed Era, Roderick Strong, Bobby Fisk, Kyle O'Reilly, and Adam Cole, baby, versus Oney Lorcan, Danny Burch, Pete Dunne, and Pat McAfee. This is another good war. Ooh, scared the hell out of me. That was my computer there. This is another good War Games match. I would give the slight edge to the women once again, but I like this match as well. The most notable spot in here was Pat McAfee going to the top of the War Games cage and doing a senton on everyone. Let me just say this right now. Pat McAfee is the best part of NXT and has been for the last month. And I think people are not ready for this discussion because he's not a pro wrestler. He didn't come up in the biz like everybody else. But Pat McAfee is not only the best promo cutter on NXT because he's not scripted. He's the best promo cutter. But also, he's doing high spots and he's a celebrity. Let's be honest. This dude is a celebrity guest. But of all the celebrities I've seen wrestle on WWE television, this guy is probably the best one. He may not be a great wrestler. I would not even say he's a good wrestler. I would say he's pretty decent. But I mean, this guy, he's no slouch. He's pretty impressive for a celebrity wrestler. And he's going in here doing dives off cages and holding in there with other wrestlers in a War Games match? Like, tell me this isn't the best celebrity match you've seen in NXT history or WWE history. If not, then what is? Pat McAfee also kicked out of the Panama Sunrise in this match, which I don't know how I felt about that because Panama Sunrise is Adam Cole's finishing move, and Pat McAfee kicked out of it. The non-wrestler, the celebrity. This is where I think wrestling fans may get a bit angry. Like, why do you have Pat McAfee going out? Unless Pat McAfee is going to be wrestling on NXT more often, I probably wouldn't have had him kick out of that move. But that was a cool spot as well. The match end did come when the Undisputed Era, Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly, they hit their move onto Oney Lorcan, who was holding a chair. And then Kyle O'Reilly went to the middle of the ring, on the top rope, and hit a diving knee drop on Oney Lorcan, who had a chair draped over his face, basically crushing his face in. Got the pin. Kyle O'Reilly winning the match for the Undisputed Era. So the UE winning this match. They're baby faces now, which is odd to me because they've been heels for like the last 4 years. But hey, let's go, man. Let's go. Undisputed Era coming through with the win, coming in clutch. Let's go. Let's get it. I don't know what's to come after this exactly. Wasn't the best War Games show they've had. This is the 4th War Games show. Wasn't the best, but good show overall. Good show overall. Now, 2020 has been a pretty shitty year for pro wrestling. Let's just say it right now. It's been a pretty shitty year. Beginning of the year, I had high hopes. This time this year, it hasn't lived up to it. But early in the year, I did a video on the Chill Pill Podcast, episode 6. And I did my predictions for the year 2020. Right here, right now, we're going to splice in my predictions for 2020, and as opposed to what I got wrong and what I got right. So let's do this. What were my predictions for 2020, and what did I get right? So for all of you who actually want to watch this video, you can actually go to the Tyler Williams channel and go to the my predictions for Pro Wrestling 2020 video. It's actually Chill Pill Podcast episode 6 if you want to listen to the entire podcast. But we're about to watch and listen to it right now. And I think throughout I'm going to stop and tell you guys if I was right or wrong. So let's just see about that. Then we get into the last bit of this podcast. Yeah. My New Year predictions. So, wrestling is going to be around for the entire 2020s, I like to believe. Oh my god. So the only wrestling that was around all the entire year was WWE and AEW. I was that's not a prediction, but I feel like I was only partially right on that one. What do I believe is going to happen this year in professional wrestling? I have a great list that I'll go back to at the very end of the year to see if I got it right. Let's get into it. I got a few things listed here. So my first prediction for 2020 is that I believe... Now, I made this list. I made this list the day after Wrestle Kingdom. Oh, I made this on January the 5th. So, 2 things on this list already happened, which means your boy got his prediction right for the first part of the year. First thing is that Brock Lesnar will wrestle in the Royal Rumble match, which... Yeah, I got it. I got right. I got it right. There's one. Ding, ding, ding. 1 point so far. I also wrote down that I believe that Keith Lee and Matt Riddle will be the men to eliminate Brock Lesnar from the Royal Rumble. We'll see. I don't think I got that part right. I think, no, Drew McIntyre eliminated Brock Lesnar, so I did not get that part right. But hey, that would have been really cool, right? Now, I did get Keith Lee and Matt Riddle being in the Royal Rumble right. I got that right, but we're not going to count that because that's not what I predicted. I predicted them eliminating Brock, and Drew did. So, kind of, sort of, but only 1 point so far. About that. I believe that Shayna Baszler will win the Women's Royal Rumble match and challenge Becky Lynch for the Raw Women's Championship at WrestleMania. So I got that one half right because Charlotte won and she challenged Rhea for the NXT Championship. Shayna didn't win the Rumble, but she ended up facing Becky Lynch at WrestleMania. So, like, half of that I got right. I didn't get the first half of Shayna winning the Rumble right. She should have won the Rumble, by the way. I still die on that hill that Shayna should have won the Rumble. I don't know why Charlotte won, but whatever. And I believe that Roman Reigns will win the men's Rumble match and challenge The Fiend for the Universal Championship at WrestleMania. So, I didn't get that one right because I believe the winner was Drew McIntyre and he challenged Brock Lesnar. And The Fiend lost the championship before WrestleMania. So, The Fiend versus Roman Reigns, I don't think ever happened. A triple threat happened with The Fiend, Roman Reigns, and Braun Strowman, but I don't think a singles match between Roman and The Fiend ever happened. So, yeah, no, I got that one wrong. But continue on. I go into my predictions here. Shayna Baszler, I feel like she just lost the NXT Women's Championship. There's nothing for her. You know, she entered in that little mini feud with Becky Lynch that had Bayley just be there. Mm-hmm. And Bayley got tapped out at Survivor Series for Shayna to win. So they have a little bit of unresolved issues between Becky and Shayna. So I definitely can see this match happen at WrestleMania. So I'm going to go with Shayna winning. Roman, I don't want him to win. No. I'm out cheering for Roman to win. It's kind of crazy. But it's kind of crazy to think that, like, Roman Reigns, at least how he was viewed in the beginning of the year, was kind of just Roman Reigns, and he's just a completely different person now. I mean, firstly, he's a heel, and secondly, just the way he presents himself, the way he wrestles, him being in his corner, like, it's almost a 180, a complete 180 on the Roman Reigns character, how he was in the very beginning of the year. And I'm actually kind of glad he didn't win the Rumble because I don't know how that would have set up the heel turn. I mean, he could have turned heel either way, but I think Drew winning the Rumble is for the best, because Drew literally has been the A-star on Raw since he won the Rumble. I didn't expect them to get behind Drew the way they did, and I'm glad that they did. But Roman had his own path that he went on when he came back from, time off due to COVID. So I'm actually glad that happened the way it did.
He's been in the dark for a while now. I think ever since Roman Reigns came back from beating cancer, they've done their best to make him in the background and make sure the crowd isn't going to boo him right away. Because they know if they were to push him right out the gate, we would rebel because of past grievances. However, he's not going to be in the dark forever. I believe 2020, Roman Reigns is going to make his comeback. Now, whether the crowds take...
Kinda. He did make a comeback, and it wasn't at the time I thought it was going to happen. But he did make his comeback and win the Universal Championship back. So, I mean, I'm not going to give myself a point for that, but I'm just saying.
The fans' take to it is up to you guys. Now, me personally, I don't watch Raw and SmackDown enough to really give a shit. But if Roman Reigns is going on to WrestleMania to face The Fiend, I don't think he's going to beat The Fiend. I don't think he should beat The Fiend. Roman Reigns has this road to redemption storyline, and he still fails to beat The Fiend at WrestleMania. Keep The Fiend strong. For who? I don't know.
They jobbed him out to Goldberg at Super Showdown in February, so definitely get that part right.
But I don't think The Fiend should be losing. He beats Daniel Bryan. He beats The Miz. This is an unstoppable monster you have built up. You can't just have Roman Reigns go in there and just beat this man. Not within an inch of his life like Seth Rollins did. And even then, guess what? The Fiend didn't even lose that match, technically. So who do you have beat him? I don't know, but I wouldn't have him beat Roman Reigns. That's how you have the crowd turn on Roman again. Because I'll be honest, once upon a time, I hated Roman Reigns. 2015, hated Roman Reigns. 2016, hated Roman Reigns. 2017, hated Roman Reigns. 2018, I kind of mellowed out on him, and I was like, okay, I don't not like him, but, whatever. 2019, I'm like, okay, he's cool, I guess. I don't like him, but, I don't not like him either. I'm indifferent. 2020, I don't want to hate Roman Reigns again. Who here wants to hate Roman Reigns? No one wants to hate this man.
I think he's a heel now, so you're supposed to hate him, but, he's so great at being a bad guy. It's almost hard. And I feel like that's when we go back to the whole smark kind of thing, where wrestling fans get so invested in a bad guy that they end up liking a bad guy when you're supposed to hate him. I really badly want to hate Roman, but, I don't know, the vibe and how he carries himself is so awesome. I mean, obviously, I gotta boo him, but, inner Tyler is really loving Roman Reigns' character. Smarky Tyler really loves Roman Reigns' character right now.
This man beat cancer. I don't want to boo him. I'm going to feel bad if I boo him. But guess what? If it's something I don't like, I'm going to boo. I don't want to boo Roman Reigns. So I hope if he does win a Rumble, which I'm guessing he will. I don't want him to, but I'm guessing he will. I hope he doesn't beat The Fiend at WrestleMania. I don't. I really don't. I also believe that Matt Hardy, Brody Lee, who already got released, so one prediction already right. Matt Hardy, Brody Lee, and the Revival will leave WWE and sign with AEW.
I got that right. Literally, all four men left WWE. Well, I mean, they got released, but still, they got released by WWE, and literally all four of them went to AEW. So, boom, got that right. I'm not gonna make it 4 points for each guy, but I'm gonna make it one accumulative. So, boom, that's one.
Matt Hardy's contract is coming up next month, and it seems like he's already 1 foot out the door, ready to go. There's nothing WWE's doing for him. He's older. He's slower. What else is there for him to do in WWE? They're not going to push him to the main event scene. They're not going to have him win the Rumble. They're not going to have him win. There's nothing for him to do there. When he came back to WWE 2017, aside from the Hardy Boy stick, there was nothing for him to do.
I mean, am I wrong, though, when you think about it? When Matt Hardy came back to WWE with Jeff Hardy, and it was one of the grandest returns ever at WrestleMania 33 when they did return in that Fatal 4-Way ladder match. But, after they won the tag team championships, where did they go? Where do you go there? You have both men who are in their mid-40s. They're not that agile anymore. I mean, at the time, I think Jeff Hardy was a little bit more agile than he is now. He could still do some spots. But Matt Hardy, I mean, I love Matt to death, but he's not really agile either. He's probably less agile than Jeff is. It's like, well, I don't really know where you go from there with these guys. So, yeah, I think afterwards, I mean, you can do the whole broken Matt stuff and they did that. I mean, it was a worse rendition of the Impact version, but with Jeff, you can maybe have him go after the ICUS, but it's like I don't know long term what you would have done with the Hardys. And I guess they're kind of making it work with Jeff Hardy. I feel like Jeff Hardy's kind of just another wrestler on the roster. There's nothing special about him right now, and ours have been for a very long time. But yeah, I mean that's what happens when you sign with the guys to contracts. But let me not say it like that because I want to seem like if that came out weird. What I meant to say was, when you sign like these legends to like contracts where they have to wrestle and they've already peaked, it's kind of like, well, where do they go after they, have their little nostalgia run if they already peaked like, 5-10 years ago? You know what I mean? That makes more sense. Let's continue on.
Outside of the broken gimmick. And guess what? That went like nowhere after 3 months. So Matt Hardy leaving is best for him, honestly. If he resigns, all right, but I see him leaving. I think he's going to AEW. And I think he's going to be the leader of the Nightmare Collective. Yeah, right. The leader of the Dark Order.
I did not get that part right. Matt Hardy ended up leading nobody. I mean, he led AEW to some really good matches. That tag match on Dynamite with him, Kenny Omega, Sammy Guevara, and Chris Jericho, and then of course Stadium Stampede. Like, we got some great matches out of Matt Hardy from that, but their leader ended up being Brody Lee. So, and I don't even know how to really grade Brody Lee as the leader of the Dark Order at this point. I really don't even know how to feel about that still. It's still kind of weird and odd to me to have him in that position. But I guess we'll talk about that on a later episode when I talk about AEW's 2020.
I can get behind that. Brody Lee, Luke Harper, already been released by WWE. I see him going to AEW and turn it up down there with all the other talent. This guy is so immensely gifted, and we wouldn't know that because they don't do shit with him. WWE hasn't. AEW, I hope they're going to do something with this man. But I'm interested. I'm interested to see what he does. He's going to be at WrestleCon. We know that much. Will he sign by AEW is the question. I think he will. The Revival. They've been treated like dog shit ever since they've been to the main roster.
Yeah,
I think they're going to leave. And I hope. Because nowadays, people talk about wanting to leave and go to AEW, but it's just a crux to get more money. And then,
I mean, am I wrong in that statement? I don't think I am.
And they end up signing with WWE in the end. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do end up signing with WWE, and I just sit there and I laugh like, okay, well, if you get treated like shit for the rest of your careers, I won't feel bad. EO, it's a big maybe. I mean, I hear reports about her making less money at NXT than she didn't start.
How did I do that jump cut from like that to EO? I think I was talking about if EO's gonna leave. Okay.
And that her husband, her fiance, her husband, I didn't even know she's married to Evil, honestly. Evil being in New Japan and her being away from her husband, that's gotta suck. That's gotta really suck. So that's a big maybe. She could leave. I mean, they've been doing her right in NXT. It's not like they're treating her badly in NXT. I don't see a reason for her to leave. But I'm not EO. I'm not EO. So maybe she will, maybe she won't. Kairi Sane, I don't think she's leaving. I believe that Kodabushi and Jay White in no particular order.
Wait, hold on, go back.
I'm not EO. I'm not EO. So maybe she will, maybe she won't. Kairi Sane, I don't think she's leaving.
Got that right. Kairi Sane didn't leave. I think they signed her to like some type of contract where she's like an ambassador for Japan. But another point, because Kairi didn't go anywhere.
I don't think she's leaving. I believe that Kodabushi and Jay White in no particular order will both win the IWGP Heavyweight Championship at some point this year.
That was a wrong prediction because the only IWGP Heavyweight and really IC champ, because the titles never split up, was Naito and Evil. Like, those have been the only champions. I mean, I guess that's technically 2021 with Jay White and Kodabushi. I wonder who I predicted for the G1 Climax this year. That's what I'm curious about. I think I could predict
I also
Jay White.
believe that Zack Sabre Jr. and Hiroshi Tanahashi at some point this year will become the IWGP Intercontinental Championship.
That is also incorrect because the only IC champion was Tetsy, Naito, and Evil. But Optimistic Tyler here. Optimistic.
Now, that does mean I believe that the titles will be split apart at some point.
That is also incorrect. The titles never got split apart. You guys remember when this first started off and everyone's like, oh yeah, they could split apart the titles at Dominion, they could split apart the titles at this time, they could split apart the titles at that time. They never split the titles up. And even going into Wrestle Kingdom 15, it looks like they're still not splitting up the titles. It almost kind of gets to the point where you wonder if they should just completely ditch the IC championship, because if they're not gonna split it up and they're kind of just gonna be unified for an unforeseen time, then why even have the IC championship? It's just a prop, because everyone really knows that the big championship, the one that they care about, is the heavyweight championship. I guess you had the lineage of the IC championship still being there, but if they're not going to split up the titles anytime soon, or if they have no plans whatsoever, which I can't not believe that they don't have plans to split up the titles at some point. It's probably just a matter of when. If they're not going to split them up anytime soon, then I probably would just get rid of the IC championship for right now. Maybe bring it back when you're ready to, but I don't know. That's me.
I don't believe that Naito is going to hold on to both titles all year.
I mean, technically he didn't. He lost both titles to Evil, but I'm not going to count that because I meant it in a different manner.
I don't believe that Naito is going to keep those titles together all year. I don't see this scenario where New Japan is going to have one main title for years to come. I don't think that's going to be the case for 2020. I think at some point they're going to break those titles apart again.
Didn't happen. They literally kept them together the entire year. And they managed to do this while at the same time having the IWGP United States Championship an inactive title. Basically, they got rid of 2 titles this year, but think about it that way.
It's just a matter of when. I don't know when that's going to happen. I think it will happen.
Yeah, definitely a win.
And when it happens, ZSJ Tanahashi, white belt, Kodabushi, Jay White, black belt. No particular order for either side.
Imagine that year, though.
I believe that Jon Moxley or Taichi will win a New Japan Cup and challenge Naito Sakura Genesis.
Well, that definitely did not. That definitely did not happen. Now, this was Tyler who was predicating on New Japan Cup happening in March, not New Japan Cup happening in July. Of course, the New Japan Cup winner ended up being Evil. We still talk about it, like people on like Reddit and whatnot still talk about if Evil was going to win the New Japan Cup if it happened in March. From what I heard, apparently he was going to, no matter what, but go out of the way with that one.
Wide shot in the dark. I know.
Yeah, Taichi, very, very big shot in the dark there.
I know, but I can't think of anybody else to win New Japan Cup.
I mean, realistically, Jon Moxley, if he were in New Japan Cup, I think everyone would have probably guessed Jon Moxley would have won and then would have been disappointed. But Taichi was a very far reach there. I think I know what I was going for. I think I was going for the whole, Taichi and Tetsy Naito of this long-running feud, but that wasn't going to happen.
I don't want it to be Okada. It could be Okada. I don't want it to be Okada.
Can we all just thank God that Okada didn't win New Japan Cup this year? He made it to the finals, but he didn't win. Let's just can finally say that we did not get Naito and Okada rematch this year. Thank God. Thank God. And we're not getting the rematch to Wrestle Kingdom either because Okada isn't involved in the championship tie-up, so that's even better.
Okada. But it could be. It could also be Jay White, but that'd be too predictable. Could be Will Ospreay, but I don't see Will Ospreay going at Naito right away. So I think White Shot in the Dark is Jon Moxley, since Jon Moxley going after the IWGP Heavyweight Championship, that strums up a lot of buzz for New Japan.
Yeah, the only thing that's strumming up buzz for New Japan right now is the fact that Jon Moxley's been the champion for 10 months, hasn't defended a title or been stripped of it. That's what the buzz is coming from. Wrong idea there.
If they want to get a lot of eyes on their product, they would make Jon Moxley go after the heavyweight title at some point. Maybe after dropping the U.S. title to somebody, maybe Minoru Suzuki.
Yeah, look at how funny that is, that Tyler was naive to think that Jon Moxley was going to drop the title to somebody. Naive.
Taichi and Naito have a long-running feud.
Oh, there we go.
Face off at least once a fucking year.
There we go. I was literally just talking about it. Naito and Taichi's feud. That's where it was stemming from. Whoa, I muted myself. Hold on, go back.
Stakes. Taichi has proven before he can have some kick-ass matches.
And he can. I need people to stop sleeping on Taichi every single year. Like G1 Climax this year, it really showed off to a lot of people that Taichi can, go. But people always tend to forget that Taichi can pull out some great matches. And I think that it's kind of lazy of him to not do it any other time of the year except for like maybe 3 or 4 times a year, and one of those times is against Ishii in the G1 Climax. But damn, Taichi's great, guys. I need to stop sleeping on my man, for real.
I think if you give him a high stake, he can have a kick-ass match against Tetsy and Naito.
Go.
And people might end up turning their eyes towards Taichi
There we
as a
go.
possible main eventer one day. We'll never get to that point, but a possible main eventer one day. I believe that Stardom will have another match featured on a New Japan show.
That definitely did not happen.
Possibly as early as Dominion, but it likely will not be televised once again. I believe for Stardom that Julia, Hana Kimura, and or Tam Nakano will at some point win the Wonder of Stardom Championship.
Oh, that made me kind of sad that I thought that Hana was going to win the Wonder Stardom Championship. That makes me kind of sad. But I did get Julia winning, right? So, partial point. And Tam Nakano, she should have won the white belt, damn it, but she didn't. So,
And I believe that Momo Watanabe will at some point become the World of Stardom champion.
Now, we're still a few days out from Stardom Osaka Dream. I botched the whole name. The Stardom Osaka Cinderella Dream. What the hell is it called? Osaka Dream Cinderella? Something like that. Basically, they have a show on December 20th between Momo Watanabe and Utami Hayashishita for the World of Stardom Championship. There is still time for Momo to win this belt. So I need Momo to win so that way I can get this right. That's why I'm rooting for Momo. I want to get it right. So there's still time. It's not wrong just yet.
Whether it be at Korakuen Hall in a few days or later down the line, I believe Momo will win the red strap. I believe Jon Moxley and MJF at some point this year will become the AEW World Champion.
So I got that path right. Jon Moxley did become the AEW Champion, but MJF did not. I don't know how I didn't predict Kenny Omega being the AEW Champion this year.
I believe that AEW ratings will peak at 1.5 million.
I think the highest rating they got this year was 1.2. Let me check real quick. AEW highest rating 2020. I think it was 1.2 million, right? I think it was 1.2. Hold on. Okay, I know where I need to go. Wednesday Night Wars. The Wikipedia page always updates. No, non-viewership. Show. 2020. Dynamite. I'm pretty sure they did 1 million this year, right? At one point this year, I'm pretty sure they did 1 million. Yes, the September 9th edition of Dynamite, they did 1,016,000 viewers. So, okay. I'm going to say I was wrong because I didn't actually get the entire thing right. But let's get back into this.
I don't think it'll go any higher than that, and it definitely will go lower at some points. But I think 1.5 might be their ceiling for 2020. Hopefully higher, because then they'll be competing with Raw and SmackDown. But I think 1.5 might be the highest.
I mean, I believe the lowest Raw rating this year was like 1.5. So if they eventually can start getting up to 1 million in 2021, they could very well start competing with Raw. Not that I think they should move to Mondays or anything. I'm not saying that. But, actually competing for, that 1 million spot, which I don't think will happen next year. I think they may eclipse and, peak at 1.5. But I don't think we're going to see AEW doing 1.5 every week. That's not going to happen. They're not even going to be doing 1 million every week. But I'll get to that when I do my 2021 predictions for the year.
Still reach this year. I believe that Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano are destined to be NXT champions again sometime this year.
Which did not happen. I believe the only NXT champions we had this year were... Who started? I think... Did the year start off with... Who? I mean, I gotta actually go to the NXT. This shows you how much I pay attention to NXT. I cannot tell you who all was the champion this year. I could tell you that Karrion Kross, Keith Lee, and Finn Balor were champions, but I don't know who was champions at the beginning of the year. So now I got to go to the WWE page and literally look this up. This is kind of ridiculous. But can you blame me? Can you blame me? NXT has been NXT for a long time. All right, so go to championship holders for 2020. Okay, so with Adam Cole, Keith Lee, Karrion Kross, Finn Balor. So there's only been 4 champions. Neither of those 4 were Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa. So that was not correct.
If not both, one or the other. I believe that NXT will peak at somewhere between 900,000 and 1 million viewers.
Which I think I got right, because I think the highest rating they did this year was like 913,000, if I'm correct. I clicked off of the Wednesday Night Wars. Let me go back to it real quick. Wednesday Night War. I think the highest they did was 913,000. I know they beat Dynamite at least once this year. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe they didn't get any high. Okay, so I'm wrong. It looks like Dynamite never got any higher than 900,000 this year. Yeah, it looks like their ceiling was really 700,000. Doesn't look like they got any higher than 800,000. I don't think they did 800,000 on the 2 weeks where Dynamite didn't air in August, but like outside of that, they really haven't done any better than that. Okay, never mind. The 28th edition of October this year, October 28th edition of Dynamite did 876,000. So they did get 800,000 one week. The 1 week they actually did beat Dynamite, but yeah.
In the ratings, I don't really see them going to 1.5 like AEW, but who knows? I wouldn't be mad about it. And finally, I believe that AEW and New Japan at some point this year will sit down, cry it out, hug it out, make amends, and they will come to some type of partnership.
So that didn't happen either. The closest thing we got to that was seeing Hiroshi Tanahashi appear on Dynamite, he didn't even come out like to the ring. He appeared on like a VTR for Dynamite. I think it was, what was it for? It was for something. I think they were like congratulating somebody or some. I think it was the Jericho 30th anniversary show. That was when we saw Hiroshi Tanahashi representing New Japan. He was like basically via satellite congratulating Chris Jericho. That was the closest thing we got to a partnership. But outside of that, no, we have not gotten it. And I don't know if we're even going to get it next year. They have not sat down and really talked about their feelings just yet. But I think that might be the last prediction I have.
Find a way to incorporate select stuff. We were not going to see Kenny Omega as IWGP Heavyweight Champion. We're not going to see Okada as the AEW We're not going to see that type of shit. But we might see some guys like, Jungle Boy. You might see some guys like Darby Allin in BOSA 28.
Yeah, okay, no, that wasn't happening.
Cody in the G1 Climax.
That didn't happen.
Something like that. You could see maybe a Will Ospreay competing against Pac.
Look at how optimistic Tyler was about this happening, and it didn't happen. None of that happened, by the way.
In AEW, stuff like that. Nothing major, but because they don't do anything major like that with Ring of Honor, we don't see Jay Lethal competing for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. So I don't see that happening in AEW or New Japan. But at some point, they will come down, and they will sit down, and they will talk it out.
Yeah, no, none of that happened. So I think I can count on one hand how many things I got right, but a lot of this year I did not get right. I think I'll do better next year. I'll definitely do better next year. I hope I do better next year. 2020 predictions out the way. We now get into the tail end of 2020 with the resume of the TylerSuplex Wrestling Awards, which I'm going to rename the Maskies. That's DAMASKIES. The Maskies. The Maskies 2020 Awards. Last week's winners: Darkest Days of the Year, Black Wednesday for WWE, the Speaking Out movement for Wrestling Twitter, and the death of Hana Kimura. Most overrated wrestler went to Cody. The most overrated match of the year went to Santana and Ortiz versus the Best Friends in a parking lot brawl from the September 10th edition of AEW Dynamite. The worst television show of the year went to WWE NXT. The worst feud of the year went to Tetsy and Naito versus Evil. Worst wrestling show of the year went to WrestleMania 36 Night 2. The worst booking decision of the year went to Goldberg beating The Fiend at WWE Super Showdown. The worst match of the year went to Goldberg versus The Fiend at WWE Super Showdown. And the worst wrestler of the year went to Kazuchika Okada. This week, we resume with some more categories. The up-and-comer categories, as I will call it.
So this week we will have the most underrated wrestler of the year, hidden gem of the year, the best cinematic match of the year, best television announcer of the year, best manager of the year, rookie of the year, young lion of the year, most improved of the year, the most consistent of the year, and the fighting spirit of the year. So let's start off with the most underrated wrestler of the year. These are the wrestlers that they did their thing, man. They killed it this year, but not a lot of people really gave them their praise. Now, this is not to say that nobody in the history of ever praised these guys, but I thought they were deserving of more. And the nominees are Yoshihashi of New Japan Pro Wrestling, Kushida of WWE NXT, Big Swole of AEW, Saya Ida of Stardom, and El Desperado of New Japan Pro Wrestling. And the winner is Yoshihashi! Woo! Yoshihashi, let's go! I think it is time we give Yoshihashi some goddamn flowers. This man made his return from injury at last year's New Year Dash, and ever since, he has been on top of his game. He has been killing it. I can't sit here and say he's been having 5-star matches all year round since then, but he's been having some real sleepers. And I think it's time people really sit down and have a conversation on if Yoshihashi should be considered for the IC, maybe even US Championship picture very soon. I think maybe after we split up the IC and Heavyweight Championship, he'd go after the IC. I don't think he's going to win. Maybe US, possibly. But I think he should be put above the Neverweight Championship. Go towards something greater. And I think that's a slight to the Neverweight Championship, but New Japan doesn't give me much reason to care about that match. About that championship outside of, like, Suzuki and Shingo. That's about it. But Yoshihashi, congratulations. Hidden Gem of the Year. These 3 matches, not talked about as much, but in my opinion, definitely some of the best matches. And here we have Hiromu Takahashi versus Toru Yano from New Japan Cup 2020. Evil! Versus Yoshihashi from G1 Climax this year. Blake Christian versus Leo Rush from GCW So Much Fun. And Jonathan Gresham versus Wheeler Yuta at ROH Pure Tournament. And the winner is Hiromu Takahashi versus Toru Yano from New Japan Cup 2020. I've been saying it since the match happened, and I'll keep saying it. This is one of the best matches of the year. And it doesn't have to be a mat classic. It doesn't have to be a ring match, 5-star, slow build match. This was fun. It was fun. I enjoyed it. It told a great story, and it didn't have to be some intricate, moves telling a story. It was a story that's been told over the course of years, with Hiromu Takahashi getting his head shaved by Toru Yano and being scarred for life. And the match is basically told off of clippers. And if he's going to cut Toru Yano's hair, and how Toru Yano, surviving his PTSD, will beat Toru Yano. If you haven't seen this match, go watch it. It was fun. You'll enjoy it. Hidden Gem of the Year, Hiromu Takahashi versus Toru Yano. Best Cinematic Match of the Year. In this category we have the WWE Money in the Bank match, the Firefly Funhouse match from WrestleMania 36 Night 2, AJ Styles versus The Undertaker in the Graveyard match from WrestleMania 36 Night 1, and AEW's Stadium Stampede from AEW Double or Nothing. And the winner is AJ Styles versus The Undertaker Graveyard match. I would have, and I mean like by an inch, would have given this the Stadium Stampede. But AJ Styles versus The Undertaker really set the bar, in my opinion, for what was to come with cinematic matches. Like, I don't remember if this was the first cinematic match of the year, but this was the bar. You had to be better than this match to be considered a great cinematic match. There were a lot more after this. Firefly Funhouse is one of them. Stadium Stampede came after. Money in the Bank came after. There were also some bad ones. The Extreme Rules match between fucking Bray Wyatt and Braun Strowman. Big Swole versus Britt Baker. Like, we had some bad ones this year, but we had some good ones. And I think AJ Styles vs. Undertaker needs some praise. I think the Stadium Stampede was great in its own way, but the Graveyard match was the Undertaker's last match, supposedly. It told a really, really good story, and it was great visuals. And for that reason, it has to be the best cinematic match of the year. Best television announcer of the year. In this category, we have Justin Roberts, Justin Roberts, Justin Roberts, and Justin Roberts. And the winner is Justin Roberts. Woo! Yeah, Justin Roberts, the best television announcer of the year. I mean, come on now. Kenny Omega, War Horse, Cody. I'm not going to do every single announcement he does, but this man, since AEW's inception, has breathed life into what television announcers are supposed to be. Justin Roberts is a key part of AEW, in my opinion, and without him, I don't know where this company would be. I mean, we didn't have him for a good few months. I think it was Brandy and Dasha Fuentes, and they did great. They did good jobs, but Justin Roberts is the heart and soul of Dynamite's voice. He is the voice of Dynamite, in my opinion. The voice of Dynamite. Best Manager of the Year. In this category, we have Paul Heyman for Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar. Taz for Team Taz, Brian Cage, Will Hobby Hobbs, and Ricky Starks. Arn Anderson for Cody, and Ghetto for Jay White. And the winner is Paul Heyman for Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns have got to be the pairing I didn't see coming, but the best pairing I could have never seen coming. These two, whenever they're on, especially Roman Reigns, WWE television, have been like music to my ears. Paul Heyman is a visionary of one we have never seen before, and I'm glad we have him here in pro wrestling. Rookie of the Year. In this category, we have John Silver of NXT. Well, I can't really say NXT, he's not signed there. But John Silver. I said John Silver NXT. Oh my god. John Silver of AEW. Pat McAfee of NXT. There we go. Pat McAfee of NXT. And Hanan of Stardom. And the winner for Rookie of the Year is John Silver of the Dark Order. John Silver, when he first started off in AEW, was just kind of like another guy for the Dark Order. But really, since the tag, I don't remember what tag team match it was. I want to say it was like a 8-man tag with the Dark Order versus the Elite. Ever since that match, I had my eye on John Silver. Being the Elite, he's been the highlight of every single week. They started pushing him, pushing him in the sense that they've been giving him more time as far as the Dark Order goes. But he's been really the shining star of the Dark Order so far. In Brody Lee's absence, John Silver has emerged. And I think John Silver is definitely the Rookie of the Year, in my opinion. I know he's technically not a rookie. He's been wrestling for years now. But he's the Rookie of the Dark Order, in my opinion. And I think he's shining bright. So, Rookie of the Year goes to John Silver. Young Lion of the Year. In this category, we have Gabriel Kidd, Clark Connors, Yota Tsuji, and Yuya Uemura. And the winner for Young Lion of the Year is Yuya Uemura. Woo! Yuya Uemura has been killing it since New Japan Cup. I mean, he's been killing it really since the beginning of the year. But New Japan Cup is when this guy really showed out. I still remember that match of Yoshinobu Kanemaru. It was just a great performance he had in that match. And then you get into G1 Climax and all the damn matches he had against Yota Tsuji and Gabriel Kidd. The guy is like basically the second coming of Ren Narita. And I don't really want to relate him to that because he's his own man. But he's just so athletic, so gifted. Yuya Uemura is going to be something special. All the guys I named are going to be something special. But Yuya Uemura really shined bright this year, and he is deserving of this category. So good luck, and congratulations, Yuya Uemura. Most Improved of the Year. In this category, we have Penelope Ford of AEW. Raquel Gonzalez of NXT. Saya Kamatani of Stardom.
Britt Baker of AEW, The Butcher and the Blade as a tag team for AEW, and Jey Uso of WWE main roster fame. And the winner for Most Improved of the Year is Saya Kamatani of Stardom. Woo! Saya Kamatani bringing home an award for Stardom. Saya Kamatani, from the first time I seen her in Stardom last year, I thought she was fine. I thought there was something there. She could definitely be something good if she improves. And since really I've seen her this year, she has been on the top of her game. Now, I don't think she's had like a phenomenal or like even a match of the year worthy match, but like every match I've seen her in, she has stood out. She is the high flyer for Stardom. She is their aerialist, and that really helps her. But she has just got more fluid, more smooth in the ring. And yes, you can make an argument for anybody. I think everybody in this category has gotten better. Penelope Ford's match with Hikaru Shida was, I thought, one of the best women's matches of the year for AEW Dynamite. Raquel Gonzalez has really been shining bright for NXT in the latter half. Britt Baker really improved a lot. I think she was definitely my second pick to win this category. Butcher and the Blade, they were never bad. And I don't think anyone in this category was ever really bad except for Penelope Ford. But they've been getting better as the year went on. And Jey Uso, a guy who has been really only known as a tag team guy. And I would even say as the tag team guy, a lot of people really only ever praise Jimmy Uso. Jey Uso went out on his own and made a name for himself in the feud with Roman Reigns. But Saya Kamatani, I think she's really shined bright a lot more this year. So I got to give it to Saya Kamatani. I would give the runner-up to Britt Baker. In the third place, bronze medal to Jey Uso. Most consistent of the year. Which wrestler, in my opinion, was just the work rate guy? Who was the work rate of the year? In this category, we have Cody Rhodes, Tomohiro Ishii, Volta, Mayu Iwatani, Taichi, Kenny Omega, Hiromu Takahashi, and the Young Bucks. A lot of people in this category. But who is the winner? And the winner of the most consistent wrestler of the year is Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega has been, and I think there's this notion that Kenny Omega is not on top of his game because he isn't having New Japan-esque matches. But look at the year Kenny Omega has had. Kenny Omega has had some of the best matches for AEW this year. His match with Pac at the very beginning of the year, like the Iron Man match, is, in my opinion, the best match in AEW Dynamite history. His match against Sammy Guevara on Dynamite when they were going through their pandemic, I remember, was good. His match with Trent was also really good. He had a really good match in here that he won the tag team championships with Hangman Page against Scorpio Sky and Frankie Kazarian. He had an even better match, arguably the best AEW Dynamite tag team match of the year, against Pentagon and Phoenix. They had a really great match in here, and great in the sense of fun great, against Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara. He had just a all-out fun, outrageously fun match in the Stadium Stampede. Like, the guy has literally been killing it this entire year, and people are not ready to admit that he doesn't need to be in there having 40-minute New Japan epics to be considered like the best of the year. I think he is the best of the year. Now, if you ask me who is my silver medal winner for the year, I would give it to Mayu Iwatani. In third place, it would go to Cody Rhodes. Like, Mayu Iwatani, also, every year, every match I've seen her in, she killed it. So she is my second place. Cody Rhodes, third place. I think his matches were great. Like, some were great. Most were really good. The only issue I had was that he won, like, majority of them. That was my issue, is that he won majority of them. But outside of that, Cody Rhodes also killed it this year. No slouch to him. Young Bucks, they also had great matches in here as well. You can make an argument that they should be third place instead of Cody, but Young Bucks in here. Romu killed it. Volta killed it. Ishii is always great. But that award has to go to Kenny Omega. And finally, Fighting Spirit of the Year. Who was the most charismatic? Who, every time I saw these guys, I was excited to see them. I wanted to see them every single week. And I got behind them
every single time. Everybody in this category is nominated because I got behind them every single time I saw them. But only one of these people are going to win. Nominees are Thunder Rosa, Hikaru Shida, John Silver, Hiromu Takahashi, Keith Lee, Kyle O'Reilly, and Hangman Adam Page. And the winner for Fighting Spirit of the Year is Hangman Adam Page! Fighting Spirit of the Year. Hangman Adam Page started off 2019 as, I would say, he's never been bad. Like, I think Hangman Page has always been a really good wrestler, but he's improved as the year is going on. With the storyline with Kenny Omega, with just the hot tags he gets, he's been on fire. And as the year went on, he's gotten better and better and better, and more you want to see him win. I think now he's kind of cooled off a bit, which sucks. But Hangman Page, when we talk about the very middle of the year, he was at his like most hype. I mean, Hangman Page was like AEW Dynamite for a while. Hangman Page was the AEW Dynamite in my opinion, and you can't convince me otherwise. Kyle O'Reilly, he is definitely, in my opinion, I would say the most like eye-opening from NXT. And I say this because Kyle O'Reilly is a great wrestler when he's with Bobby Fish, but I don't know Kyle O'Reilly is a great wrestler by himself. But when he stepped in the ring against Finn Balor and had that outstanding match, just wow. The matches beforehand, like he's had a slight singles run at NXT, and he really shocked the hell out of me. Keith Lee, I mean, what more can be said about Keith Lee? He's awesome. Hiromu Takahashi, not much can be said about him. He's awesome. John Silver opened my eyes, definitely got behind him a lot more. Hikaru Shida, not much can be said about her. She's awesome. Thunder Rosa is one who's really shocked me because I knew Thunder Rosa when she was in Lucha Underground as, what was her name? Why did it just slip my head as I was about to say it? As, what was her name? Not Vibara. Not Black Lotus. Damn it. Why did I just forget it? Shit. What was it? What was her name? I'll be honest. When she was in Lucha Underground, I thought she was bad. And there was nothing about Thunder Rosa in Lucha Underground that really impressed me. But when she came into AEW as Thunder Rosa representing NWA, I really gravitated towards her a lot. Her aesthetic, her appearance, her moves, everything about her was great. And I still believe Serena Deeb versus Thunder Rosa is one of the best matches AEW Dynamite has had this year. But kudos to everybody who won this category this year. We will be going into more categories next week. Next week categories we'll be looking at the most must-see wrestler of the year, best promo cutter of the year, feud of the year, junior heavyweights of the year, European wrestler of the year, Mexican wrestler of the year, Japanese wrestler of the year, and US/Canadian wrestler of the year. Thank you all for listening in to this episode of the Chill Spill Podcast. What do you guys think? Comment down below. Let your boy know. I love you guys as always, and I will see you all for number 25. We're on our road. We're on our road to 50. 25 more episodes. Episode 25 next week. And I'll see you all there. Peace out, guys.